Hey.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the weekly wrap up. Now, it's going to be a super quick one today. Huge apologies, but I don't know if I didn't tell anyone on Twitter, but I did tell the GSIC group. On the 25th of April, I had emergency surgery. So I'm here, but I'm very, very sore still.
Yeah, and you're standing up, but you can't do it for very long.
Yeah.
Okay, well, no problem at all. For those in GSIC, we normally do charts and questions for you. If you pop them in the live chat, we will have to get to them there instead. But we still want to try and get to those there. Otherwise, I won't take up too much more time. I will let you do your thing.
Yeah, so let's quickly jump into BTC. So obviously on the 2 monthly chart, we found that gravestone doji, and that's particularly ugly pattern, which normally sort of goes to like whatever height that is. It was quite a long one. It'll decline down to that height. So that doji, it looks like it should go to about 46k. So it doesn't always happen. It doesn't always break down. Sometimes there's enough support in the market and it's bullish enough that it does hold higher. We haven't broken the pivot though in this pattern as yet. So these upper pivots here at 66 and 67,500. So break above those will put us into a more bullish pattern. Potentially could be one of two patterns: a bullish pattern that goes to about 75 straight away, or there's a potential pattern that could sort of return at this sort of 73 mark and then continue down. So that would make this sort of like a WXYXZ. So that sort of pattern. Now that will take us more than likely down to these lower fib levels that I've got marked on this chart. Currently, we're still in no man's land. Yes, we've had a bounce. Yes, it's been a little bit nice to see some green. I don't think the red is over yet. So I know that's going to be unpopular opinion at the moment, but until we've broken those pivots, I really, really, really do think that we are following a longer term sort of pullback in this region. We haven't had one. So, when we're looking at, 2019 going into 2020, we had an extended sort of period where we didn't have those pullbacks. Yes, this is a wave 3. So, yes, the pullbacks will be smaller and shorter, but this is a wave pattern here that it doesn't look to be complete. So whether or not we are going deeper is unknown, but potentially what could be is a 1, a 2, a 3 coming down, a 4, and a 5. Now that takes us down to that 47k mark. So that's potentially what we're seeing if we don't break those upper pivots. So the other corrective pattern is a WXYXZ or Z, depending on where you are in the world. So that one is WXYXZ, which will sort of just like bump up and down. Now, there's another potential pattern in this one as well, where we don't break the pivot and we don't break the low, and we just go sideways, and it's really frustrating, annoying. So that could be an A, a B, a C, a D, and an E. Hang on, wrong one. There we go. So going down for our A, B, C, D, E, and then continuation up. So there's still several different patterns that could be running at this point until we break those pivots, until we're convincingly bullish here. This is still corrective. So, protect your money in alts, protect those stop losses. We are coming up to a lot of pivots on alts. So that does mean that they're potentially more bullish than what we're seeing on Bitcoin, which does happen from time to time. It does. They run in a different sort of time frame to what Bitcoin does. And if we have a look at Solana, we can see that, you know, potentially we're coming up to that pivot. We haven't hit it yet. That's at 161. So potentially this wave pattern here could still be a fourth wave. So this could be a D wave. So A, B, C, going in for the D and coming down for an E. So what that would look like, and it's basically a corrective wedge. Coming up to there and then maybe holding and doing a truncated one or coming back down lower. So that's potentially what could happen. That D could go as high as that range and this could go just sideways. So, you know, that's a potential pattern as well. So there's a lot of potential patterns until we get some pivots that are just, we're sort of sitting underneath, rejecting down and coming back up. You know, it is looking positive that we have got the MAs in these region on a lot of the alt charts. This is Solana, that are looking like they are getting some positive momentum. So, you know, with that being said, if we can break those regions, it's going to be good. We've got some FOMC meetings coming up next year. We've got next week. We've got interest rates all of next week. So that is going to be a really choppy week. So we really need to consolidate into this week, see some green, break some pivots, and then hopefully correct and hold the low during that choppy week next week. And then we are going to be off. So we're probably about a week or two from really knowing what the patterns are for BTC. You know, if anyone says that they're confirmed, they're whatever, I see lots of Elliott wave that is really, really incorrect. So yeah, and I'm often just shaking my head. You'll see me sometimes when I'm not so sick commenting on that sort of stuff. But yeah, it is, there's nothing confirmed yet until we have broken the pivot. So 66 is a good start, but convincingly breaking 67.5 is going to be a really awesome sort of pattern for Bitcoin, because that is going to mean that and we're going to continue higher. So we do have a inverse head and shoulders potentially forming. It hasn't 100% formed as yet. So we can see that here. If we can break and hit those pivots, we'll probably come back, retest those lows, and then continue up. That should break out in that region. So that's potentially best case scenario for BTC at the moment, but it's going to be quite choppy. So it's not just going to go straight up. The liquidity hasn't come back into the market as yet. BlackRock sold a big chunk of Bitcoin again last week. So we just need to watch what's happening. Yes, people are buying, but we saw that somebody bought 147, Mr. 100 bought 147 million of Bitcoin. It's not a huge amount of Bitcoin anymore when Bitcoin is 65,000. So way back when Bitcoin was 13 or even 3,000, that was a massive amount of Bitcoin. But when Bitcoin is such a high price, it doesn't really move the market. So it is nice to see people are buying those amounts, but we do really, really need to wait until we can get some verification as to overall direction. And I know you guys hate me being the bearer of bad news, but that's just how it is. So when we go to the total three, so total three is a BTC and ETH, not there. So it's excluding the crypto BTC and ETH. So this is basically just sort of alts. We're still in this rejection point. So we want to break this rejection, which is 700 on this chart. So breaking convincingly there, I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to have some alts running. But until that, we're probably going to reject at that point and have one more attempt down at this bounce zone here, and then before we head up. So, and that correlates with a lot of the alt charts looking like they're going to pull back at some point in the next day or two. They may hold on until FOMC meetings next week. So it may just be slow movements with the low liquidity that we've got in the market. So, yeah. Quick look at ETH. We had a quick signal on this one for our TTM, and it's almost there. It did make our 3%, which is what we're after. So we do have people that margin trade those as well, if they can in their regions, because that's been cracked down on everywhere. So I know UK and Australia cannot. So, and many other regions, and I think USA maybe. So yeah, so Ethereum as well, it is moving in a really nice pattern. So I'm going to zoom out on this chart and go to the daily. It potentially could be in a fourth wave as well. So when we have a look at that, so we can see this, we've got this fourth wave or D wave forming at the moment, which potentially could see again one more wave down lower. So daily is again getting quite high. We do have bullish divergence, which is a really, really good sign that these resistance regions could break. So when we're looking at charts other than BTC, BTC is moving a bit slower. When we're looking at charts like Ethereum, we are approaching these resistance regions and we have got a lot of momentum. So hopefully they can break through. We've just had a cross on the 9 and 21 EMA. That's another really good positive sign that this is going to continue to, 3345 and potentially break through. So yeah, ideally the pivot on this pattern right here is 3,504 for Ethereum. So breaking that puts that into a more bullish pattern as well. So until that happens, this is still quite a bearish pattern, and it could just be, waves sort of resetting indicators, so to speak. So yeah.
So, and you did mention altcoins could move around about now whilst we wait to see what Bitcoin does. And to confirm that, one of our alt signals in getting started in crypto just hit target as you were talking, nice. Which is exciting. And a lot of others are pushing up. So, okay, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Yeah, so let's I think I can do probably 2 or 3 alts, so throw some at me.
Oh, okay. I wasn't even prepared for that. Let me just have a look. Ocean and Atom, and let's pick one out of the chat here as well. Let's go for Phil since Marcus was first in.
Ocean. So our pivot here on Ocean that we want to be breaking is very, very, very close. And it touched on this wave. So it looks like it's just underneath now. RSI is quite high in the 4 hour. Doesn't mean that it won't break through. And our MAs look like we might get a bullish cross. So that might increase momentum. It does look like it will retest this region. So you could probably pick up an order from about 94 on Ocean. It might come back down to that region before heading up. Yeah, so this could be, a larger pattern WXY. It could be an extended correction, or it could be this is, still correcting. So basically several patterns again. We could be seeing that being our A, coming up for a B, and then heading back down for a C. Or it could be a very, very sideways pattern. So if this is, let's just get our trend based. So if this is a B wave, so a B wave predominantly goes about 50% of the A wave. So it can go higher than that depending if it's more bullish or not. So 0.5 on the fibs is 1.14. If it is more bullish, often it'll go to the 236 here. So it's 1.42. That would be an ideal pattern. Breaking above that puts it in obviously quite a bullish pattern. It can go 1-to-1 on a B wave though. So we just need to be counting the waves. But this is quite clearly, this is looks very much like an A wave, a B wave, and then coming for a C. So that's an internal wave. If we do happen to get 5 waves in that pattern, that changes things, but it does look quite corrective still at this point in time. So yeah, so it's just a matter of when you're trading alts at the moment, moving your stop loss into profit as you get profit. So just to protect that and protecting your capital, of course, because that's going to be what you need for the bull run. Yeah, so Ocean, what was the next one, Josh?
Atom.
Atom.
And then we'll do Phil and call it from there.
Oh, this was one that annoyingly hit the stop loss just by a little bit and has gone up. So yeah, so Atom, the pivot here on Atom is at that top one, which is 10.27. It looks likely that it's going to get to that region, annoyingly enough, after hitting my stop loss. Yeah, so that's the point that we need to watch for Atom, 10.27. Breaking convincingly above that region will put that in a more bullish pattern. So probably breaking above 10.66 is what you need to watch for. Until this is possibly a wave 4 or a D wave.
Okay, and then FIL, Phil. Let's just finish off with that one.
So they just do look like they're in that relief bounce sort of, fourth wave or D wave pattern at the moment. Same pattern for Filecoin. So it is the pivot on this one is already marked at 7.72. It is getting what looks to be a bullish cross on the MAs. So that's going to probably sweep up. It's probably crossed over already. Yep, on the 2 hour, it's already got some momentum there happening. So yeah, for the short term, I think we're going to get like a bounce up to those pivots. So that's 22% on Filecoin. If they can convincingly break those pivots, then you're going to get more targets, obviously. But that is going to be quite a strong rejection point, and one that we then need to watch where the waves come back down to. So it's one step at a time in this region where we're going, okay, we've got some bounces happening in alts. We've got some short-term profits to be made. And then we need to take some caution while the correction happens and just assess where those waves are pulling back to, whether they're holding wave 1s or whether they're holding the low will give us a better indication on what the overall patterns are.
Okay, and anyone we missed out in the chat, apologies for that, but jump into the live chat in GSIC and get them in there and we can follow up there. And Lise, I will relieve you of your duties now. You must be ready to sit down again.
Thank you.
So yeah, we should be back next week, a little bit longer. Same time, we will be on the other side of the world, but all being well, we will be here. So
we will be here. So yeah. And I should be another week better. So and able to do a few more charts.
Excellent. Okie dokie. Have a good week, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.